Well, g'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another little Tiny Tuesdays. And today we're going to be talking about money. Now, before we get into money, I just wanted to mention two quick things. Firstly, recording this, kind of jumping into the future a little bit. I'm actually recording this on the day that it's being released, the 13th of May. Obviously, you guys, if you're watching our vlogs, you're probably somewhere having just seen us walk the Kamito. So there'll be another couple of vlogs being released over the next few weeks as we make our way closer towards the Algarve here in Portugal for this cat sit. And the other thing that I just wanted to mention very briefly was the situation that's going on in Greece from a campervan perspective. Very disappointing, very worrying. And I don't really want to add any more fuel to the fire. I know there's been a bunch of vlogs that have already gone out there and a bunch of Facebook posts that have already gone out there. I don't really know the complete ins and outs, but all I have to say is, given how much we enjoyed and loved exploring Greece and interacting with the Greek people, quite disappointing that this ruling has been made. If you're not up to speed, basically it looks like there's many more now restrictions from where you can park your campervan or motorhome, not only overnight, but even potentially during the day. Now, my hope is that when the dust settles and all of this here, there probably will be a new kind of normal that will form. And it may be that there's a lot more pressure on banning wild park-ups overnight. But hopefully at least the ruling that parking your campervan in all manner of places, car parks and stuff, even during the day to go visit historical sites and stuff, which seems to kind of be causing some people some issues, that won't be the case, and maybe there will be some kind of normal, because I feel a little bit responsible that we've got a whole catalogue of Greek vlogs where we're sort of waxing lyrical about everyone coming out to Greece and enjoy the Greek hospitality in the van, and then of course this comes out. Now, having said that, if we were considering going back to Greece, we were thinking about going back to Greece later this year, even with this ruling, I think we probably still would have, if the timing had have worked out, knowing that we would have had to go to campsites. The campsites generally you can get for, Camping Kronos, one of our favourite campsites, was €15 a night. So with the understanding that you are going to be paying a bit extra for campsites, we probably still would head back to Greece because we absolutely loved it so much. But yeah, my only hope would be that there is perhaps a new normal that is, obviously everyone would love the old normal, but I fear that we're starting to see more and more pressure on folks travelling in campervans. And hopefully, as maybe we get beyond the summer and back into the quieter season again, that it goes back to somewhat the way it was. I'd love to hear from anyone who is going to Greece or was planning on going to Greece in the comments. Maybe you're changing your mind, or maybe you're already there, what the current situation is. But irrespective of all of that, we absolutely loved Greece, and I think at some point in the future, even if this rule maintains, I think we probably still would go back and just try to somehow work with it rather than around it. Right, talking money. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about January, February, March, because that's whenever we were stationary back in the UK and Ireland. I'll just put up a little summary of the three columns. You can probably see there in January we had quite a hefty bill van related. There were a few bits and pieces going on with servicing and some issues with the gas, isn't there always? In fact, we have another issue, the jingly jangly noises that I think we've talked about. Have we talked about this in the vlogs? I don't think so. We have a problem with the van, and so once we're finished with this house sit and the next couple of weeks, we'll have to take it to a garage and get the jingle jangles unjingly jangled, but more to come on that. Most of that money, or over £800 of that money, was on our annual insurance, and that has gone up over £300 from last year. And through no fault of our own, we have had no claims on our insurance or anything like that. We haven't changed our insurer. In fact, if anything, our no claims bonus has added another year, but over £300 extra. Now, we're slightly over the barrel with our insurer. They are fully aware that we are full-time in the van. It's our home. we have been told that changing, so say for example, we wanted to change insurer to get a cheaper quote. Quite often they don't like the fact that you're in the van full time. And if you do, if you want to be in the van full time, then the insurers who will cover that, the other insurance who will cover that, will hike up the premium anyway. So when we saw this bill come through and it was an extra £300, we just had to swallow it up because we didn't want to rock the boat when it came to our being in the van kind of full-time living in it. But quite frustrating that van insurance has crept up so much, and I can only hope that we won't see a similar increase next year on our insurance, because yeah, it's a pretty hefty lump out of our monthly budget. The one thing we noticed about being back in the UK and Ireland was it's blooming expensive. We'd really hoped to have maybe under 1,000. We were living on my mum's driveway for several weeks. We were living with Nicola's mum for several weeks. We were really hoping to have our budget under £1,000. Now that's not including that house related and not including van related, even though they are part of our overall monthly budget. But everything else we were hoping to have it under £1,000, because we thought we're living with our parents, shouldn't be that expensive. But goodness me, the UK is expensive. Groceries, price of fuel, even though that has come down a little bit. But yeah, quite frustrating that we weren't able to do that. That house line that you see there, that's our fixed costs that we have for when, you know, our storage unit, our BT mobile bills, other health insurance and bits and pieces going on as well. But if you can see there, if we take out the total minus the house each month, so £1,900 or £2,000 in January, £1,265 in February, and £1,700 in March. So given the fact that we would have loved to seen that line hover around the £1,000 mark, yeah, we failed miserably. And we only got 2 trips away in that whole time, and that was up to Ardnamurchan in Scotland and then over across the border into Donegal as well. So we were quite disappointed that our budget was so high. And yeah, the UK is pretty damn expensive. Right, let's do a bit of a deep dive into the month of April. Monthly spend, 2 folks travelling full-time in their camper van. Number 1 on the list, groceries. Now, we did do a little bit of a bulk shop before we left the UK, just on some staples that we know we sometimes struggle to get. Some long life tinned foods and various pieces like that. So in April, we spent £447 on groceries, so just over £100 a week. Now, I would say that apart from probably Spain, as in the countries that we have already visited, I think it's almost nigh on impossible to have a spend of less than £100 a week. We'd love it to get close to about £100 a week. So I guess 447 isn't too bad, and hopefully with us sort of front loading a lot of the sort of staple foods has meant that actually we haven't spent as much maybe in the month of May. But £447 in groceries. Again, would love to hear from others who are full-time, especially if you're a couple full-time in the van. How much do you spend on groceries a month? So number 2 on our list is transport. Now, 2 main heavy hitters in that category. Number 1 was our travel insurance. Now, that isn't a whole year's worth of travel insurance. We can do a kind of a bespoke, and we have taken travel insurance up until the end of November, including obviously traveling in mainland Europe. Now, as you will have seen last year, that travel insurance will cover us in the event of us losing access to our van. It'll cover costs up to a certain level. And we were able to get into the campsite in Matera when we had our alternator belt snap, and our travel insurance covered that. And then the other remaining portion, I think about 170 of that, was the Eurostar. So in April, our travel and transport related costs were £402. Now, what was pretty cool about that was we saved about £150 by taking the complete non-toll roads from Calais all the way down. In fact, we haven't been on a toll road yet, and here we are in the Algarve. I don't know why the last couple of years I have stuck to toll roads in France, because it is a bit of a waste. We came down through France in about 6 days. traveling no more than about 3-4 hours a day, and we saw some beautiful scenes in France, and obviously discovered some little hidden gems as well. So I think unless there is a particular weather related reason, or perhaps we really want to kind of blast through, yeah, I'm going to stay off the toll roads. And in fact, going on the toll roads is a little bit of a false economy anyway. So obviously you think that you're going to get through in a certain time, but it's expecting you, your GPS is expecting you to travel at the speed limit. And of course we don't travel at 120 kilometers per hour, not least from a fuel efficiency perspective. So even though it might be saying it's going to take 2 hours versus 3 hours on the toll roads, 2 hours, it might still be 3 hours because we're sticking to about 60 miles per hour to keep that fuel efficiency up. So it was fantastic to save about 150 quid on transport. But in April, £402, mostly on Eurostar, one-way Eurostar, and our travel insurance, which takes us up to the end of November. And again, I don't think, given the mileage that we put in, I don't think the fuel cost, which is next on our top cost for the month, we spent £350 on diesel. Now certainly as we got into Spain, the diesel costs dropped considerably. I'm not sure whether we, definitely in France, we were getting about €1.60 for diesel. And in Spain, €1.19. Now, since we've been into Portugal, and we'll talk about this next month, diesel's risen back up again, almost on a par to the UK. So certainly diesel in especially the unmanned stations we find in Spain. I think we got it once in Salamanca, and I think it was about 1.19 or something. Really good. So £350 on diesel, and that took us, I'll just tell you now, so we obviously left the UK on the 11th of April, and by the 1st of May, let me see where we were in Spain, Antequera, so we were quite a bit south in Spain, £350 on diesel, so not too bad. We also got £173 out in cash, and that was just spent on odds and sods and various bits and pieces. We may even still have some of that money squirreled away in Nicola's back pocket somewhere. She looks after all of that point of view. But yeah, we got 173 quid out. We are nationwide card in certain banks. I think it's Ibercaja Bank in Spain, and I can't remember which one it was in France, but we can get commission-free cash out on our nationwide Flex Plus account, which is quite good. Next on the list was social. Now, we made a point of not going out at all on the way down through France. No coffees, no beers, no nothing, because France is blooming expensive. A pint of random beer, €8-9. Coffees, €4. So we just made the conscious decision that there was no going out in France on the way down. That was fine, that was completely fine. It was mainly just driving down through. Then you get to Spain and you're having a €1.50 coffee and a €1.60 little sort of beer. Much better. But again, as we said in the budget summary from 2024, we really are trying to curb the amount of times that we're going out, because even if it's a €1.40 or, as we found yesterday in Portugal here, 90 cents coffee, they can still add up if you're not too careful. So we really are trying to limit ourselves from going out. But in the month of May, our social was 157. Now what's interesting is, take a look back over the previous 3 months, whenever we were supposedly just hunkering down back in the UK, we were going out far more with friends and things like that. So, you know, in the month of March, we spent 329 quid going out. So, yeah. Let's hope the month of May, that slide continues, especially we're making the most of the cheaper prices here in Spain and in Portugal. And then camping. We spent £101 on camping, including laundry. Probably about 5 days worth of camping, 6 days worth of camping in there. Again, no campsites in France. All of the camping that we did was in Spain at that point. And generally, we're seeing the campsites are between £13 and £18 per night. Obviously, once you hit into the higher season, that quite often goes up, but not too bad. £101 on camping. And then experiences, 50 quid, and that was the Kamito Del Rey. Now, as we said in last week's video with the Kamito Del Rey, we paid for a guided walk, which is why it's more expensive, even though we ended up doing the walk ourselves. But getting the self-guided tickets from the website, which I think are 8 quid each, they're like hen's teeth. You have to book them 5-6 months in advance. So our only choice was to do the guided tour. But then when we got to the gate, the girl was like, do you want to just guide yourselves? And we were like, yeah, okay. So even though it was more expensive, it was the only way we could get tickets, but 50 quid for the Kamito Del Rey. And then a fiver on van related. Maybe it was an air freshener or something. And that brings us up to our monthly total. So the total including, well actually no, we'll do the total for just our travel related, so not including our house fund. And that was £1,685, so just sneaking just above the £1,500 target. Obviously with our including our house money spend, our fixed rate costs back in the UK, that was just over £2,000. Now 1,685 quid, getting us from, well, obviously preloading a lot of those groceries, getting us from Calais all the way down to Antequera in the sort of southern section of Spain, a couple of nights campsites, the Kamito Del Rey. I don't think that's too bad. I think that might be rain coming as well. Hang on, guys, we're in Portugal. What's going on, rain? In fact, I can see rain out in the distance. So not too bad. We are really going to try to stick to that £1,500 or lower travel budget, and maybe in May, when we're not going to be moving along as much as we did in April, maybe we'll be able to get that. But the costs for a couple traveling full-time in their camper van through France and Spain, £1,685, with our total spend, including those fixed costs back at home, 2015. Right, well, I am going to call it there. There will be a vlog coming up in the next couple of weeks where we show you around this local area, talk a little bit about the whole house sitting, pet sitting gig that we do like to do from time to time. But as I say, that will be a story for not next time, not the time after, but in a couple of weeks' time. Coming up next week, let me just check my schedule, as all good professionals should. I think we're in Agogondales, and people shot at us. A bit of a dramatic intro with the music, but you'll have to wait for Sunday for that one. Right guys, well, once again, thanks a lot for following along, and until next time, in a gunfight in Agogondales, take care. I'll do Nicola's wave. Bye bye.